Hello and good morning, Toronto Blue Jays fans. I am your host, Craig Bourne, right here on Jays Latest, and we're going to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays baseball. And wow, still continue to ride the wave, everybody, because it just keeps getting more and more interesting. Um, Trip to the south side of Chicago gets us another win. Trade rumors are now plentiful as we are getting closer and closer to the MLB draft, the All Star game, and the trade deadline as we are approaching mid July. Yeah, it's right there already. So the now Toronto Blue Jays, first place Toronto Blue Jays, are 3.5 games ahead in the AL East ahead of the New York Yankees. Yankees had the night off, but we also got a win over the fact that the Tampa Bay Rays dropped one more game behind as they did lose last night. So let's dive into it and talk some trade rumors first. And make sure you please hit those like, share, subscribe buttons so we can get out there and talk to more Blue Jays fans. So I'm sitting here looking at who's going to be rentals, and wow, that was really bright. Anyways, rentals this soon to be off season, guys that are going to be free agents at the end of the year. Who's going to be trading who? What might be a nice fit or the Blue Jays? Looking at the not so Oakland Athletics. Oakland Athletics are in a wonderful time frame here where they're not the most competitive of teams, but they do have a bright future ahead of them. Seeing the youngsters that are starting to work for them on the Major League Baseball field has been very interesting and intriguing, especially if you are very excited for them to have a new home in Las Vegas. So, talking what could the Blue Jays do to maybe help what that looks like on the field in 2027 when the field is supposed to be opening, and how could we take advantage of them getting rid of some of their talent currently? I'm looking at an arm named Jeffrey Springs, the lefty, who has had a pretty decent Major League Baseball career and a great season so far with the Oakland A's. Oh, wait, sorry. Sacramento A's. Still not getting used to that at all. Saying Vegas Athletics is going to be hard enough. So, anyway, Jeffrey Springs used to be a Tampa Bay Ray, funny enough, so we know him pretty well. Boston Red Sox, played in our division, but he is currently residing on being traded to the Sacramento Athletics. The 32-year-old has had a pretty good season with just under 100 innings, a 4.07 ERA, and just has been looking really good with a 6-6 record. He's slightly above wins above replacement level and could just be a very tradable, cheap asset for the Blue Jays to be able to loot and run right into their starting pitching, and not to mention give us finally a different look in that starting rotation. If he can eat up some innings and do what he's been doing for the Oakland A's as a lefty in the Toronto Blue Jays rotation, and help spell the Max Scherzers, lengthen out the Ethan Lawlers, it could be very, very interesting for Toronto Blue Jays fans and continuing to keep this streak just moving in wonderful ways that it's going. I still, like I mentioned many times on the show, I think we're still short one pitcher just in case somebody gets hurt. And Jeffrey Springs could be one of those guys that could do that. Somebody can eat innings and maybe late in the, season or a playoff push here, he could be a hell of a lefty right out of the bullpen. So, and I don't think you're gonna have to give up as much for us. Maybe this is one of those things that you trade somebody like Elvis Martinez or whoever that might actually be able to be inserted into their major league lineup as a young, ready to go prospect. And you get somebody, like I said, on a rental contract for the end of the season here, like Jeffrey Springs, to be able to fill in the starting pitching or the bullpen. Um, Very cool. I just think that would be a nice, easy move for the Blue Jays to snipe in and pick a guy. So, other news: George Springer is the American League Player of the Week. Shocking. He only had 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, batted 429 with a 1.464 OPS over the last week. Um, that doesn't spell Player of the Week. I don't know what does anymore. Um, so as far as that piece goes, the biggest win obviously is the fact that he gets a Player of the Week trophy under his belt one more time. And the biggest ding on that whole thing is that he is one of the highest OPS leaders in Major League Baseball, especially in the American League, and he was flat out snubbed to be a Major League Baseball All-Star. So I know it's maybe, looking like it may be too little too late, but if Blue Jays fans know, he's been a revelation for where this lineup is and really leading by example in this lineup. He's been an offensive force since getting more bats and not as many fielding opportunities. So that has been very intriguing to see George Springer discover whatever the heck he's been doing right and continue to be the guy that he has been. And not to mention, I just love watching when George Springer is having fun, the fire that he plays this game with. It is very fun, very interesting, and it's going to keep Blue Jays fans very, very happy for the rest of the season, I think, because there's just no signs of this man slowing down. I'll have whatever he's having. Just saying. So let's talk about the ninth win of this wonderful win streak that the Toronto Blue Jays are on because it just keeps getting better. Everything seemed to click in line perfectly on the south side of Chicago yesterday as the Blue Jays had Jose Barrios on the mound against Sean Burke. Burke didn't exactly have the greatest outing, but he didn't have the worst outing. He just really got stacked up on one inning in the sixth, where the Blue Jays really just clicked everything into gear and ran the hell away with this damn game. So Burke was doing really well the first three innings, though. The Blue Jays could not hit him, could not square him up, nothing. They were losing 1-0. But Burke eventually ran against the bats that have been red hot for the Toronto Blue Jays. Brooks Baldwin was the one that drove in the first run, scored Kyle Teal off of Jose Barrios in the second inning. But like I mentioned, things started falling off you know, the line for the Chicago White Sox in the fourth as Bo Bichette ends up hitting a hard single on a line drive over Michael Talkman into the right field. Scores Vlad. I thought there was going to be a play on the plate on this one, but the relay throw just never got there, and that is the catch with the Chicago White Sox with their young talent. It just yeah, didn't quite make it. In the fifth inning, the Blue Jays youngsters take over the wonderful patchwork that has been this crazy good outfield that we've been putting together on the field. And second day in the major leagues this season, Joey Loperfido, what a day did he have? He hits a solo blast in the fifth inning to put the Blue Jays ahead 2-1, and not to be outdone the easy, wonderful story that is Lucas hits his fifth home run, goes back to back with Joey Loperfido. Just very exciting. I love the fact that these guys are playing in the tandem. The bottom of this order has been a revelation for the Toronto Blue Jays. This does a great job of spinning things back up. And coming up and seeing Joey Loperfido do what he's done the last 2 days has been insanely awesome. I just love that no matter who we plug into this, the winning is infectious, and everybody is putting their hands into the pot here to make sure they can grab what they can and run away with. So, as the Blue Jays continue to stack up runs, things went off the wheels for everybody in the sixth for the Chicago White Sox. Addison Barger tees up a 2-run blast for his 12th of the season, and this one he went down and got. This wasn't a high home run like he normally gets, where he seems like he hits everything that's like chest high. He went down and got this thing and pushes it over the right field wall. Blue Jays now up 5-1, continuing to build on his 2-game lore and the wonderful story of his call up here. Joey Loperfido also hits a single, scoring Miles Straw and Alejandro Kirk. So now the Blue Jays got 7-1, and Nathan Lucas once again, nice little safety squeeze bunt, drives in another one. Blue Jays lead 8-1, and there's a little bit of getting back into it here with the White Sox scoring a couple with Michael Talkman in the seventh, and a Leon Sosa gets it to like I said, within striking distance. There was just not enough in the tank for the White Sox to come up against the Blue Jay bullpen and get back fully into this one. Jose Barrios gets charged the 1 earned run in 6 innings of work. Stellar work for the machine. 6 innings of work, only allows 2 hits, strikes out 4, and walks a pair. Then we get to finally see the debut of Robinson Pena. He got into the game yesterday. Unfortunately, 3 runs were scored while he was on the mound. Only one of them was earned on an Addison Barger error. 4 outs recorded for him, with a strikeout and a walk as well. Then Nick Sandlin and Chad Green slammed the door shut. and the Blue Jays take their ninth win in a row. Just going streaking party, people. And on the mound today, the Toronto Blue Jays will be taking on the White Sox in the south side of Chicago again to continue their road trip until the All Star game. Chris Bassett will be on the hill versus Aaron Savali. Savali has done pretty decent, but he's been touched up a little bit. Funny enough, by the Blue Jays, like I mentioned a few weeks ago. He still got in 7 innings in that game, but the Blue Jays ran away with it in their last inning with him. 5 earned runs in that start a few weeks ago. That was the win the Blue Jays had during that series, I believe. But he has only allowed 3 runs over his last 2 starts. That's a total of 9 innings of work. So there is something for Aaron Savali's work that is very cool, and I think he's a great pitcher. Talk about a guy that could be also a trade chip here in the near future. Um, for the Blue Jays, we're hoping to continue to see the bounce back of Chris Bassett. He'll be on the bump today to do everything that Chris Bassett does with his 900 different pitches and all that stuff against the young Chicago White Sox. His last outing against the New York Yankees, he had 5 2/3, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. But forget that horror show that happened in Boston where he allowed 8 right before that. So nobody terribly hits off of him, according to the wonderful fun that is the MLB Savant. Um, Meanwhile, for the Blue Jays, Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to be looking forward to seeing Aaron Savali today, who has 2 career home runs against him, 3 RBIs in 14 at bats. George Springer also has had a pretty decent showing against Aaron Savali in his career. So 2 of our best hitters could have a nice chance to do something very fun today and go from there. And George Springer can continue to build on the lore that has been his 2025 Major League Baseball season. So check us out every day here on Jay's Latest. Please hit those subscribe buttons so we can get alert. You can get alerted to all the fun here that we're talking about every day, especially as trade rumors continue to heat up every day. We will be here to talk Toronto Blue Jays baseball. Make sure you check us out on the Jaybird Watching podcast, my other show tomorrow. We will have in our buddy Anthony to talk everything American League East and this wonderful craziness that has turned into the battle for the top. And he's a Yankees fan, but he also reps a brand called Major League Brews. So we will be talking all things beer bats and all that kind of stuff at the ballpark too. So make sure you tune in for that tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And we'll talk all things Toronto Blue Jays in our live stream. So make sure you check that out as well, because we want to hear from all of you. Check out Jaybird Watching podcast as well. And tune in here every day for Jay's Latest. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Cheers, everybody. Bye. Go Blue Jays.